Today we're going to review algebraic expressions and algebraic equations. The Common Core State Standard is A.SSE.1. Interpret expressions that represent a quantity in terms of its context. We're going to be really going over A. Interpret parts of an expression, such as terms, factors, coefficients. And A.CED.1. Create equations and inequalities in one variable and use them to solve problems. We're going to go towards this goal. We have not yet obtained it, but we're working on prerequisites for this goal. Expectations. Students know how to solve basic expressions with 1 to 2 steps. Students understand how to solve one-step equations. Our goals and objectives. The goals. Students will learn the needed material from this lesson to progress towards mastery of Common Core State Standard A.CED.1. Our objective today. Students will identify the differences between expressions and equations by completing guided notes with 90% accuracy. This is a review. This lesson will review basic expressions, algebraic expressions, and basic equations. This is part of end-of-unit review. Please revisit vocabulary, variable, coefficient, operation, and constant. While I'm going over this PowerPoint, please use the guided notes and fill in. They'll be asked to be turned in either digitally or by hand. What is an expression? An expression is a very simple to complex mathematical phrase. Students have been learning these phrases since kindergarten. The most basic phrases are 1 and 1 plus 1. These expressions lack a variable, coefficient, and sometimes an operation. We'll review these vocabulary words in the next few slides. What is an algebraic expression? An algebraic expression is a mathematical phrase containing a variable and operation such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. An algebraic expression does not contain an equal sign. The number next to the variable is known as a coefficient. The number that is alone is a constant or number term. Parts of an algebraic equation. I found this online. So this is a really good thing to write down in your notebook. So first, we have the terms 7n and 2. 7n is, the 7 is a coefficient. The n is a variable. The 2 is known as a constant, and they're connected by an operation, which is addition. An example is 3x, his example is x plus 3. In this expression, your variable is x, your operation is addition, and your constant is 3. This operation has no number to represent a coefficient. When there's no number next to a variable, an expression, then it can be implied that the coefficient is 1. What is an algebraic equation? An algebraic equation is a phrase depicting two expressions that are equal. An equation essentially looks the same as expression except for an equal sign, followed by another expression. An equation is very simple to scale seen in a science room. Both sides have to be balanced. The next few slides will review how to balance an equation. Outside of this lecture, you can look at the scale demonstration on www.mathplayground.com. This will give you more in depth on how it visually looks to balance a scale and how an equation is basically a scale. So we have to ask ourselves, how do we balance a scale? So the scale represents an equation. An expression equals expression. So our first expression is the quantity of the 3 times the quantity of 4 times 2. our other expression is 26 minus 2. The quantity of 3 times quantity of 4 times 2 equals 24, while 26 minus 2 is also 24. Both sides are balanced, meaning both sides are equal. The end result of an equation is to be balanced. Our power concept, we've been using this for a little while, when the expression on one side of an equation equals the expression on the other side, the equation is balanced. So now, using your guided notes, we have an activity. Now that we reviewed expressions and equations, please complete the activity below in the guided notes. This is for a grade. In the table below, mark all equations with an E. I'll give you a few minutes. The answers are, in the table below, we marked all equations with an E. Remember that equations had an equal sign. So everything with an equal sign I labeled with an E. Everything else that didn't have an equal sign is an expression. What are some things that expressions and equations have in common? Well, both can have variables, coefficients, constants, and operations. I say can have because some lack others. Some expressions can lack certain operations, a coefficient, and a variable. While equations can lack a constant and sometimes even a variable. So, in the Venn diagram below, compare and contrast expressions and equations. So, we're going to do this together because this can become very complicated. Equations, the difference between equation and expression. An equation always has an equal sign, but it does not always have a constant. We can even go as far as it doesn't have a variable or coefficient. 2 equals 2. That is another equation. It's the end result of an equation, but it's still an equation because it has an equal sign. While as an expression, what's the difference between an expression and an equation? An expression does not need a variable. It does not need a coefficient. It sometimes does not even need an operation. Sometimes it can just be listed as 1. So these two are very vastly different than each other. The one thing we can see, the biggest difference between the two that we can always pick out, an equation versus an expression, is an equation will always have an equal sign. So what's the similarity between? Both can have, not always, can have a variable, a coefficient, a constant, and an operation. Thank you for listening. Please complete the assignment listed below within Google Docs after watching this whole presentation. Have a nice day.